Parmenion set out his winnings on the stone courtyard table, building columns of coins and staring at them with undisguised pleasure. There was 512 drachmas, a king's ransom to a Spartan who had never before seen such an amount in one place, let alone owned it. There were 5 gold coins, each worth 24 drachmas. He hefted them, closing his fist around them, feeling the weight and the warmth that spread through the metal. The 400 silver drachmas he had built into 20 columns into a miniature temple. He was rich. Spreading the gold coins on the table, he stared down at the handsome bearded head adorning each one of them. They were Persian coins, showing the ruler Artaxerxes with a bow in his hand. On the reverse was a woman holding a sheaf of corn and a sword. "Will you stay at them all day?" Epaminondas asked. "Yes," replied Parmenion gleefully. "And tomorrow?" The Theban chuckled. "You ran well, and I took great pleasure over the way you tricked Cletus. How they must be suffering now. Meleager will have beggared himself to settle his debts." "I don't care about him," said Parmenion. "Now I can afford to rent a home and perhaps even hire a servant. And today I shall go to the marketplace and buy myself a cloak and several tunics, and a pair of fine sandals, and a bow. I must have a bow, and a hat, perhaps one of Thracian felt." "I've rarely seen a man so happy with his fortune," Epaminondas told him. "But then, have you ever been poor?" Parmenion counted. "Happily, that is a state I know little of." The two men spent the afternoon in the main marketplace, where Parmenion bought a cloak of sky-blue wool, 2 tunics of fine linen, and a pair of calf-length sandals. He also allowed himself one extravagance, a headband of black leather, finely woven with gold wire. Toward dusk, as they were making their way back to Epaminondas' house, the Theban suddenly cut off to the left down an alley. Parmenion touched his friend's sleeve. "Where are we going?" "Home," answered Epaminondas. "Why this way?" "I think we are being followed. Do not look back." He snapped as Parmenion started to turn. "I do not want them to know we have spotted them." "Why would we be followed?" "I do not know. But when we turn the next corner, run." The alley twisted to the right, and as soon as they were out of sight, the two men ran along the path, cutting left and right through the narrow streets until they reached an alley at the back of Epaminondas' home. The Theban halted at the mouth of the alley and glanced out. 4 men were sitting on a low wall at the rear of the house. They were armed with daggers and swords, whereas Parmenion and the Theban were without weapons. Swiftly the Theban ducked back out of sight. Epaminondas took another circuitous route to the front of the house. Here, too, a group of armed men waited. "What do we do?" queried Parmenion. "We have 2 choices. Either we brazen it out or we go elsewhere." "Who are they?" the Spartan asked. "Scum, by the look of them. If I had my sword, I would not hesitate to confront them. But what do they want? You or me?" Epaminondas leaned against the wall. There were only 2 reasons why the men could be waiting. 1, the authorities had found out about the small group of rebels who met at the home of Polysperchon. 2, Meleager had learned of Parmenion's true identity and had paid these rogues to exact revenge. Neither thought was comforting, but on the whole Epaminondas hoped it was the latter. "Show me more routes to the house," said Parmenion softly. "For what reason?" The Spartan grinned. "So that I can lead them on the chase. Trust me, Epaminondas. Much of my early life was spent this way, being hunted, chased, beaten, but not this time, my friend. Now show me the alleys and back roads." For almost an hour the 2 men wandered through the twisting alleys between the houses until Parmenion had memorized various landmarks. Then they returned to the opening at the rear of the house. "Wait here," said Parmenion, "until they have left. Then you can get your sword, and mine, too." The Spartan ran back to the maze of buildings, emerging from an alley some 40 paces to the left of the waiting group. One of them looked up and nudged the man beside him. The group stood. "Are you the man, Parmenion?" asked a stocky, red-headed warrior. "Indeed I am." "Take him," the man yelled, drawing a sword and rushing forward. Parmenion turned on his heel and sprinted for the alley, the 4 attackers in pursuit. Epaminondas darted across the open ground to the rear of the house and hammered on the door. A servant opened it, and the Theban moved through to the andron. Gathering up his sword, he sent the servant to Parmenion's room to fetch the sword of Leonidas, and, armed with 2 blades, ran back toward the street. "Where are you going, master?" called the servant fearfully. Epaminondas ignored him. All was quiet at the rear of the house, and Epaminondas waited, his mind calm, his body ready. There would be little point in entering the maze of alleys. Better to wait until Parmenion brought the pursuers to him. Finding his mouth to be dry, he allowed himself a wry smile. It was always this way before a battle, a dry mouth and a full bladder. Then he heard the pound of feet and saw Parmenion race into view with the 4 men just behind him. The young Spartan sprinted forward, holding out his hand. Epaminondas tossed him his sword. Parmenion caught it deftly and swung to face the attackers. The men halted their charge and stood back, uncertain. "We have no quarrel with you," the red-bearded leader told Epaminondas. The Theban cast his eyes over the man, taking in his grease-stained tunic and his matted beard. The man's forearms were crisscrossed with scars. "You have been a soldier, I see," said Epaminondas. "You have fallen a long way since then." The man reddened. "I fought for Thebes. Precious good it did me. Now stand aside, Epaminondas, and let us deal with the trickster." "In what way have you been tricked?" Epaminondas asked. "He ran under the name of Leon, when in fact he is the Spartan racer Parmenion." "Did you lose money?" asked the Theban. "No, I had no money to bet, but now I have been paid, and I will honor the agreement. Stand aside." "I think not," said the Theban, "and it is an ill day when a Theban soldier takes blood money from a Spartan." "Needs must," shrugged the man, and suddenly he ran forward with sword raised. Parmenion moved in to meet him, blocking the blow and hammering his left fist into his attacker's face. His opponent staggered back. Parmenion leapt into the air, his right foot cracked into the man's nose and hurling him from his feet. The other 3 men remained where they were as the red-bearded leader snatched up his fallen sword and rose unsteadily. "There is no reason for you to die," Parmenion told him. "I took the money," said the man wearily, and moved in to attack once more, stabbing out his sword for a belly lunge. Parmenion blocked it with ease, his left fist lancing into the man's jaw and dropping him to the ground. Epaminondas suddenly charged at the other 3 men, who broke and ran. Parmenion knelt by his unconscious opponent. "Help me get him inside," he told Epaminondas. "Why?" "I like him." "This is insane," said Epaminondas. But together they hauled the body back into the house, laying him on one of the 7 couches in the andron. A servant brought wine and water, and the 2 men waited for the red-bearded man to come around. After several minutes he stirred. "Why did you not kill me?" he asked, sitting up. "I need a servant," Parmenion answered. The man's green eyes narrowed. "Is this some jest?" "Not at all," the Spartan assured him. "I will pay 5 obols a day, the payment to be made every month. You will also have a room and food." "This is madness," said Epaminondas. "The man came to kill you. He took money and he tried to earn it." "I like that," said Parmenion. "How much were you paid?" 10 drachmas, the man answered. Parmenion opened the pouch at his side and counted out 30 silver drachmas. "Will you become my servant?" he asked. The man gazed down at the coins on the table. He swallowed it, then nodded. "And what is your name?" "Mothak." "And your friend is right. This is madness." Parmenion smiled and scooped up the coins, handing them to Mothak. "You will return the 10 drachmas to the man who hired you. The rest is your first month's pay. Get a bath and buy a new tunic. Then gather what possessions you have and return here tonight." "You trust me to return?" "Why?" "The answer is not difficult. Any man prepared to die for 10 drachmas ought to be prepared to live for 25 a month." Mothak said nothing. Turning on his heel, he left the room. "You will never see him again," said Epaminondas, shaking his head. "Would you care to wager on that?" "I take it the wager is 35 drachmas, correct?" "Correct. Is it acceptable?" "No," conceded Epaminondas. "I bow to your obviously superior understanding of the human species, but he will make a terrible servant. Tell me, why did you do this?" "He is not as those others. They were cowardly scum. He at least was prepared to fight. But more than that, when he knew he could not win, he came forward to die rather than take money falsely. That sort of man is rare." "We must agree to differ," said Epaminondas. "Men who would kill for 10 drachmas are not rare enough."